The scent of freshly starched cotton and the faint, sweet perfume of jasmine always preceded Monsi. At 25, though her official age was creeping towards the 30s, she possessed a youthful vivacity that made her seem more a peer than an authority figure to most. Yet, when she stepped into a classroom, that illusion shattered. Monsi was not just gorgeous, she was brilliant, sharp, and commanded respect with an effortless grace that belied her gentle features. As a teacher for classes 9 and 10, she was a legend, strict, demanding, but fair, and her students absorbed knowledge under her tutelage like parched earth drinks rain. Her beauty was undeniable, a vibrant, magnetic force that drew gazes and hushed whispers wherever she went. Dark, almond-shaped eyes held an intelligent glint, framed by long, dark lashes. Her skin was the color of warm honey, and her lips, often curved into a serious, thoughtful line, were full and naturally rosy. A cascade of dark, wavy hair typically fell over one shoulder, shimmering under the fluorescent lights of the school. No one, truly, could ignore Monsi. Beyond the school's hallowed halls, Monsi offered private home tuitions. These sessions were coveted, not just for her unparalleled teaching methods, but because of the informal, more intimate setting she provided in her own home. Students clamored for a spot, and it was an open secret that a significant portion of their yearning stemmed from an adolescent infatuation with their stunning tutor. Among them was Rahul. Tall for his age, with an athletic build and a charming, boyish grin that could disarm most, Rahul was a popular figure in school. He excelled in sports and had a natural charisma, yet when it came to Monsi ma'am, he was just another starstruck admirer. His admiration for her had blossomed into something far deeper, a fervent, aching love that consumed his waking thoughts and invaded his dreams. He would watch her from afar in the school corridors, memorize the way her sari draped, the subtle curve of her smile when a student finally grasped a complex concept. The decision to take home tuition from Monsi ma'am felt like an answered prayer. It was his chance, he believed, to bridge the student-teacher divide, to show her a side of himself beyond the classroom, a side that yearned for her affection. The home sessions were held in Monsi's meticulously kept two-story house, a quiet haven nestled amongst ancient trees in a respectable neighborhood. Her husband, a corporate executive, was often abroad, leaving her to live alone in the expansive house, a fact that both intrigued and saddened Rahul. She had no children, and this too, added to the mystique surrounding her. For weeks, Rahul attended the evening tuition classes, always respectful, always diligent. He excelled under her direct guidance, his grades soaring, but his heart soared even higher with every shared glance, every fleeting touch of hands over a textbook. He saw the way other boys looked at her, the thinly veiled crushes, but he felt his own feelings were unique, profound. The day he decided to propose, a wild, reckless courage surged through him. He meticulously planned it. The tuition class was set for 5 p.m. Rahul, heart hammering against his ribs, arrived an hour early. He rang the doorbell at 4 p.m. sharp, the afternoon sun casting long shadows across the porch. Monsi opened the door, a soft, cotton sari draped elegantly around her, her hair tied back in a loose bun, a few tendrils escaping to frame her face. Her eyes, usually so sharp, held a hint of surprise. "Rahul? Is everything all right? You're an hour early." He swallowed, his throat suddenly dry. "Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to ask you something before class." She raised a perfectly sculpted eyebrow, a hint of curiosity in her gaze. "Oh? Come in then." He stepped into the elegant hall, its polished marble floor reflecting the afternoon light. Sunlight streamed through a large window, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. The hall was tastefully decorated, with a large, comfortable sofa and an array of potted plants. He stood awkwardly by the doorway, gripping the strap of his backpack, his gaze fixed on her. Monsi closed the door gently and turned to him, her arms crossed. "So, what is it, Rahul?" Her voice was calm, but there was an underlying firmness that always reminded him of her strict classroom persona. "Ma'am," he began, his voice a wobbly whisper, I can't hold it in anymore. From the first day I saw you, I felt something. Something special. You're the most beautiful, the most intelligent woman I've ever met. I love you, ma'am. I want to be with you. I want to marry you someday. The words tumbled out in a rush, desperate and raw, echoing in the silent hall. He looked at her. For a moment, Monsi said nothing. Her expression remained unreadable, then slowly, it hardened. Her eyes narrowed, and a flush crept up her neck. A vein pulsed in her temple. Without a word, her hand shot out. Smack. The sound cracked through the quiet hall like a whip. Rahul's head snapped to the side, a searing pain blooming on his cheek. The world spun for a second. He hadn't just been slapped, he'd been backhanded with force, the sting burning his skin and his pride. How dare you? Monsi's voice was low, furious, trembling with suppressed rage. How dare you speak such nonsense? I am your teacher, Rahul. This is an utterly inappropriate and disgusting display. Tears welled in Rahul's eyes, not just from the pain, but from the crushing humiliation. He instinctively reached for his throbbing cheek. Monsi's anger seemed to sharpen, her gaze like daggers. She took out her phone, her fingers flying across the keypad. All tuition for today is cancelled. She barked into the phone, addressing her other students through a group message. Due to unforeseen circumstances, do not come. She ended the call and glared at Rahul. Now, sit. Her voice was cold, decisive. Rahul, still reeling, numbly sank onto the edge of the sofa. Monsi sat opposite him, her posture rigid, her eyes still blazing. You have made a grave mistake, Rahul, she began, her voice now dangerously calm. A very, very grave mistake. Do you understand the implications of what you just said? To your teacher? To a married woman? But ma'am, Rahul choked out, his voice hoarse with despair, I truly love you. From the deepest part of my heart. I know it's wrong, but I can't help it. Monsi watched him, her fury slowly receding, replaced by something unreadable, a cool, calculating glint in her eyes. She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a near whisper, yet it somehow filled the room. Love? You speak of love, a mere boy, to a woman almost twice your age's mindset? You have insulted me, Rahul. You have disrespected the sanctity of my position and my home. She paused, her gaze piercing. And for that, you will pay a price. A significant one. Now, she stood, and a strange, almost predatory smile touched her lips. Come with me. You will undergo a test. A test of your true devotion. Or, perhaps, your obedience. Confused, terrified, and utterly powerless, Rahul, still clutching his throbbing cheek, slowly rose and followed her. She led him through another door, into what he presumed was her master bedroom. It was a spacious, elegantly furnished room, a large bed dominating the center, draped in a luxurious comforter. The air was subtly fragrant with lavender. Sit on the bed, Rahul, Monsi commanded, her voice soft now, devoid of anger, yet infused with an authority that left no room for defiance. Rahul hesitated, his mind racing, fear coiling in his stomach. What kind of test was this? He sat on the edge of the bed, his hands clasped tightly together, his eyes fixed on her. Monsi walked to a large, ornate wooden wardrobe. She opened it, revealing neatly stacked clothes and shelves. She pulled out a handful of colorful dupattas, long, flowing scarves of various fabrics. She laid them out on the bed beside him. A black one, an orange one, 2 blue ones, and a stark white one. Rahul watched, bewildered. His confusion was palpable. Monsi picked up the first black dupatta. Extend your hands behind your back, Rahul. His eyes widened. Ma'am? What are you doing? Monsi's face hardened. Do as I say. No questions. You want to prove your love? This is how you do it. Or, the alternative is I call your parents right now and explain exactly what you just confessed to me. And then I ensure you are expelled from this school. Your choice. The threat was real, terrifying. Rahul's stomach lurched. He slowly, hesitantly, extended his hands behind his back. Monsi deftly took the black dupatta and tied his wrists together, pulling the fabric taut, knotting it securely. Then she took another black dupatta and tied his arms tightly against his torso. He tried to pull away, to protest, a choked sound escaping his lips. Smack. Another sharp, stinging slap landed on his other cheek. The force rocked his head, and he bit back a cry. I said, "Keep quiet," her voice was a chilling whisper, close to his ear. "Any more resistance, and the consequences will be far worse than you can imagine." Tears streamed down Rahul's face now, but he clamped his mouth shut, trembling. He felt utterly helpless, trapped. Next, she took the orange dupatta. She knelt and expertly bound his ankles together, pulling the knot so tightly he could feel the fabric digging into his skin. He winced, but made no sound. Then, she took one of the blue dupattas and tied his thighs together, just above his knees, ensuring his legs were tightly secured, unable to part. Monsi stood, surveying her work, a flicker of satisfaction in her eyes. Good. She returned to the wardrobe and pulled out something small, soft, and distinctly feminine, a new, lacy black panty. Rahul's eyes widened in horror. "Open your mouth," she commanded. When he hesitated, she grabbed his jaw, pinching it painfully, forcing his mouth open. She then pushed the soft fabric of the panty deep into his mouth, gagging him. He gagged and coughed, the unfamiliar taste filling his mouth, but it was pushed further in until his cheeks bulged. She then took the white dupatta and wrapped it firmly around his head, tying it at the back of his neck, securing the panty gag firmly in place. He could only breathe through his nose, his mouth full, the humiliation scalding. Then came the second blue dupatta. She unfolded it and, without a word, wrapped it around his head, covering his eyes completely. Darkness enveloped him, a terrifying, absolute blackness. His other senses sharpened, every rustle of her sari, every breath she took, magnified. Finally, she took the last black dupatta. She pulled his bound hands up towards his bound ankles, creating an arch with his spine, then threaded the dupatta through the gap and tied his wrists to his ankles. He was now hog-tied, a trussed, helpless package on the bed, blindfolded and gagged, his body aching with the tightness of the binds and the awkward position. Monsi leaned close, her breath warm against his ear, her voice a low, cold whisper that cut through the darkness and his fear. "Listen to me very carefully, Rahul. You spoke of love. You spoke of marriage. What you feel is a childish infatuation. I will never love you. Not now, not in the future. But you, Rahul, you are now mine. You are my part-time slave. Whenever I call you, you will come. You will obey every command I give you. You will do everything I ask, without question, without protest. And if you ever deny me, if you ever hesitate, I will call your parents. I will tell them everything you said to me today. I will ensure your reputation is ruined in school. You will regret it. Do you understand? Not if you understand." Rahul, trapped in the darkness and the confines of the binds, nodded his head frantically, a pathetic, muffled sound escaping his gagged mouth. Tears continued to stream from beneath the blindfold, wetting the dupatta. "Good boy," she purred, and he heard her footsteps retreat. A click, the sound of the bedroom door closing. He was alone, utterly helpless, his world reduced to the tightness of the ropes, the strange taste in his mouth, and the chilling pronouncement of his new reality. He lay there, rigid with terror, the full weight of his colossal mistake crashing down on him. What had he done? What had he become? The minutes stretched into an eternity, each tick of an unseen clock a hammer blow against his sanity. 2 hours later, the door clicked open again. Rahul flinched, his body tensing, anticipation and dread warring within him. He heard the rustle of fabric, the soft pad of her bare feet on the floor. She came closer, and a new scent filled his nostrils, a crisp, clean scent, like freshly laundered cotton. He felt her presence above him, then a heavy, soft fabric was draped over his face. He recognized the smell of her body from the school, and then the scent intensified, becoming overwhelming. It was the sari she had been wearing, now folded and pressed against his nose and mouth. He struggled to breathe, his lungs burning, the heavy, suffocating fabric pressing in. He thrashed weakly, his hogtied body unable to move effectively. He could hear her soft, even breaths, feel the pressure of her hands holding the fabric firmly against his face. Just as the black spots began to dance before his blindfolded eyes, just as his vision seemed to tunnel and his body screamed for oxygen, the pressure was miraculously released. He gasped, sucking in great gulps of air, coughing violently, tears streaming anew. He heard the distinct rustle of her moving, then felt her hands at the back of his head, untying the white dupatta. The gag was removed. He tried to speak, to beg, to apologize, but his throat was raw from the smothering, his voice a rasp. Ma'am, Esor. Her cold voice cut him off. I do not want to hear it. He then felt a hard, cylindrical object being pressed against his lips. It was long, thick, and unfamiliar. He recoiled instinctively, trying to clamp his mouth shut, but a firm hand gripped his jaw, forcing it open. Monsi pushed the object in. It didn't go easily. It was too wide, too long. He gagged again, fighting it, but her strength was formidable. He heard a soft squelching sound, and then felt a slick, cool sensation. Oil. She was coating it with oil. This is for your insolence, she murmured, her voice devoid of emotion. To remind you of your place. With a renewed, slow, and agonizingly forceful push, Monsi inserted the long, hard object into his mouth. It slid past his teeth, pushing against his palate, deeper and deeper, stretching his jaw to its limit, forcing his gag reflex into overdrive. He choked, a desperate, muffled sound, his eyes squeezed shut under the blindfold. It went back until the base of it was flush with his lips, distending his mouth painfully, filling his oral cavity completely. He could barely breathe, the hard object pressing against his throat, forcing him to swallow continuously. Then, he felt a strip being tied around the back of his head, securing the object firmly in place. It was a long penis gag, precisely as he had been told. The humiliation was absolute, utter, complete. He whimpered, a low, guttural sound, his body shaking uncontrollably. He was utterly broken. You will remain like this for an hour, Monsi stated, her voice distant, as if from another room. Think about your actions. Think about your new role. He heard her footsteps again, the click of the door. And then, silence. Just his own ragged breathing, the dull ache of his jaw, the discomfort of the bindings, and the overwhelming, suffocating presence of the gag in his mouth. He lay there, hours later, his mind a numb wasteland of fear and despair. When she returned, her footsteps were quick. She untied the gag first, pulling it out with a soft wet plop, leaving his mouth sore and aching. He gasped for air, tasting his own saliva, the freedom of his mouth almost overwhelming. Then, swiftly, silently, she unbound his eyes, then his hog-tied limbs, then his legs and arms. Each release was a moment of agonizing relief, followed by a profound ache as blood rushed back into his cramped muscles. Go home, Rahul, she said, her voice flat, devoid of warmth or malice. And remember our agreement. I'll be in touch. He scrambled off the bed, his legs unsteady, his body trembling. He didn't dare look at her, didn't dare utter another word. He stumbled out of the bedroom, through the hall, and out the front door, fleeing into the cool evening air, leaving behind the shattered remnants of his innocence. And so, it began. The incident was never spoken of again, neither by him nor by her. But the unspoken threat hung over him like a perpetual shadow. Whenever Monsi was free, whenever the impulse struck her, his phone would buzz with a text message. A simple, innocuous instruction, come. And Rahul, terrified of the consequences of refusal, terrified of his parents finding out, terrified of his school life being destroyed, would drop everything. He would invent excuses, sneak out, and make his way to her house, where he would obediently submit himself to her will, a secret slave to his beautiful, brilliant, and terrifying teacher. The memory of the slap, the gag, the binds, and the cold, terrifying words in his ear, forever etched into his soul.